But my beats, they are hard.
Welcome to a special edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. This is another, as my colleague over there, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, this is another conference churning edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. Joining me today are my normal co-hosts, Bryan Fulford, who let him be captain of the ship today for some strange reason. Joining us for Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sportslab is none other than the doc himself, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. And from the latest headline maker in HBCU athletics, from Xavier University, athletic director Jason Horn. How you doing, A.D. Horn?
I'm well. It's been a busy past couple days or a busy week between some conference things and Hurricane Sally and some awards. It's been a wild week for me, as you can imagine.
Right. Has anybody been going around playing that old song Mustang Sally while she was in town?
No, because nothing's open. We're still at phase 2 in New Orleans.
I got
I'm sure you guys saw the soundbite with our mayor. We're still in phase 2.
I got you.
Well, yeah, she does not play, so I'm glad you recognize that. That's a good position to be in, A.D.
Right.
You're very perceptive. I can see why you're in a leadership position. Very good.
She's actually a Xavier alum.
Okay. I read that. I read that, and she represents.
But before we get into the big elephant in the room, kind of talk about your area, COVID. You're dealing with Sally this week. Just some different thing. How things going on campus? How things with the family when it comes involved around COVID to students. Let's kind of get into that portion of it first for us, A.D. Horn.
Right. So most people that were kind of, when you think about when, I'll call it, America shut down, they were working from the house and they were at the house. I wasn't. I was still coming on campus. Seemingly I was still an essential employee, but I was fine with it. I did work from the house a little bit, but I was fine with it because I was the only one in the building. So I was good. I knew I was the only one touching doorknobs. I knew I was the only one touching light switches. So I was good. And and I had my sanitizer, so I was good. But our campus has done a great job of working together to put together a plan as far as the safety for our students. So, like in housing, no one shares a bedroom. So we've got students that are staying in some apartments on the University of New Orleans campus, as well as a number of our students are staying at the Hilton Riverside here in the city. Again, we really have signs everywhere where we're promoting, wear a mask, safe distancing, do the right thing, and our positives, so to speak, on campus have been extremely low. So it's been good. And then just kind of working with my staff and my crew about what did our return to practice look like? What are our rules going to be when we do, how does it fit within the realm of what the university wants to do? And then what are we doing additionally from a protection standpoint? So it's been a long road, but I keep saying to everyone, stop trying to make a normal year out of a time that's not normal. So I allow our folks in the weight room, but there's a limited number. And then every other machine is unplugged. I also oversee our recreation and fitness areas. So, we're not doing open gym. So that bugs a lot of students, but they just got to live with it. You can't, as the mayor said, no contact sports. So you can't play basketball. It's just a simple fact. And then we've spread everything out. So we have a spin room in our fitness center. We've actually brought those spin bikes down to the main floor, and we do that down there. When we have a yoga class, they spread out a little bit more, and we use our main floor. So we've painstakingly taken a lot of precautions. And then on campus, we're doing some testing. We've had, we've probably done testing on campus a total of probably about 25 days since we've been back. And that's been available to, some days it's been available just to the campus community, but then just the general community in the city. So we've done we're doing a great job of serving both our surrounding community as well as our campus community.
Just out of curiosity, before I turn it over to Dr. Cavil, approximately how many students do you have on campus right now? I know normally you have between 3,500 and 4,000 students as your normal student population. How many do you have on campus right now?
We're still in that window. So okay. we're
at normal capacity.
We didn't nosedive. We there were some surveys done amongst our students that were returning and our new students, and really the consensus was we want to come back to New Orleans and we want to be back on campus. So then our folks, between our academic folks and the folks in student affairs, we really worked to figure out how we can do this and do it safely to kind of maintain some mitigation. And that's part of why we did some of the housing things where we're not sharing bedrooms. We really drastically reduced the capacity of our common spaces, our classrooms. 2 people are allowed on an elevator at a time, and there's a sticker on the floor. One stands here, one stands there. I even bought these things called cootie keys so that you don't have to touch the button or grab the handle on the door. So we've got some things. We bought gaiters for all of our student athletes, kind of the half mask over the face. So we've done some things that you just have to do if you're going to operate, and we're not cutting corners with it at all.
Dr. Cavil?
Yes, thank you for sharing that, A.D. Horn. I think that is extremely important, not just for us to know, but for potential students, parents out there to get an inside view of what that looks like. Just for those students, I happen to be a professor at Texas Southern University in terms of the sport management program. And so we have a lot of students, as you would imagine, that are looking to get in the sport business. And many of them have dreams to becoming an athletic director. And obviously that's a long road to get there. But can you give them some insight of what your role was outside of what you just talked about on campus in terms of the affiliation at the conference level with GCAC, and now in terms of the Red River Athletic Conference, the negotiation that took place and what it will probably be like, and even more importantly at a national level? Part of the NAIA. How often did you have to deal with meetings in regards to getting updates, the medical? You specifically talked about what was necessary from a presidential and board level institutionally. At Xavier University, a lot of important work took place. But how was that in terms of national perspective, in terms of those scheduling updates, closing of the season? When will the season open? How did that work in terms of your time commitment with, I presume, were probably virtual meetings with the national office and with the conference perspective?
Well, first, I'll tell you that our convention, or at least the athletic directors convention, was supposed to be in Vegas. So it was very disappointing. I was booked. I was ready to go to Vegas. I hadn't been to Vegas in over a decade, and then that was canceled. So we wound up doing a lot of our meetings virtually. And I also serve within the NAI. I serve on the National Administrative Council, which is really outside of our Council of Presidents. It's the folks that make a lot of the decisions and rules and what have you. And I also serve on the competition committee. So, you know, as we kind of look at it, we meet on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, we're meeting again, I think, next week to talk about what's our next round of the world going to look. And we don't operate based off of what the Ncaa does. I mean, we look at it, but it doesn't. You know, we're a separate organization, so we make different decisions. So we didn't have a situation where you couldn't go visit kids. Now, on our campus, we did, but you know, with students, you know, that you wanted to go look at, you know, we just said, hey, you can't do that here. But on a national standpoint, you know, it's just being involved and figuring out what our survey questions are going to be and surveying the landscape across the country, because you know what you can do in New Orleans and what you can do in Boise, Idaho are two different things at two different times. So when you take a look at the state of Louisiana, the state is actually at phase 3. The city of New Orleans is at phase 2. So a school like LSU Alexandria in Alexandria, Louisiana, they're at phase 3, so they can play basketball right now. They can host basketball games. In New Orleans, we can't do it right now. Now, the next parish over, the next county over, we can do that there, but we're not looking at doing that. So it's just really kind of paying attention to what are we doing on the campus level, what are we doing what is the city allowing, what is the state allowing, and then kind of what is federal allowing. And it's really just trying to figure out those pieces, what it looks like for us. We have as a matter of fact, yesterday had a conference call with the Ncaa athletic directors across the state. There's 5 of us. And we had a conference call to talk about what we're doing, how we're planning. Have had some conversations with administration at Tulane, with the University of New Orleans, just seeing where everybody is, making sure that I'm armed with the most information I can get as we continue to make decisions. Sometimes I feel like, and my student athletes probably feel like, I'm the mask police, because you know, people walk around and they got their mask this far, and I'm like, hey, that nose needs to be in that mask. And I do it walking across campus, whether a student athlete or not. So it's just kind of managing those pieces and just making sure that people are being safe. And we have some ambassadors on campus. We've got some students that walk around, and if someone has a shabby mask, they give them another one. If they're not wearing the mask properly, they tell them that. You know, I've been in the cafeteria. We only allow 2 people at a table. Of course, students do what they want, because you remember when you're 18, 19, you were invincible. So, and I laugh at some of the things that I have to do, you know, thinking about my days back at the University of Michigan. When I tell people, I say, I just went over and yelled at some students because they moved chairs in the dining hall. And they're like, boy, you're reaping what you sow. But we're on track, and we're doing some good things. We're temperature checking when we have activities here. We're tracking it. On campus, we have to check in every day via an app and answer some questions and let the university know where we are. So we do a lot of Zooms. Even when I have my staff meetings, even though most of our staff are back on campus, we still do it via Zoom. Because at the end of the day, 1, I'm not trying to get anybody sick. 2, it's just the diligent thing for us to do, and you know, it's just to comply with what we've been asked by our president, who, by the way, is a immunologist and has a PhD in biochemistry. So as you can imagine, when I go into a meeting and I say, well, this is he's like, hey.
Oh, we saw that report 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. You know, so it's good, and we have a solid team here that buys in. Our health services, I talk to her weekly. Our team doctor, Dr. David Leslie, he works with our medical partner, and they're also the team doctors for the Saints and the Pelicans. So, you know, they're getting the NBA information. They're partners with LSU. So, we get all of that information. They give that information to us so that we can make the best informed decision for not only our student athletes, but for our university at large. But you asked me about getting into sports. Okay. I think that was the first thing you asked me. My advice to people that want to work in this business, get involved in college. Find some way, find somewhere. It may not even be the area that you want to work in. And let's do that. So when I got involved in sports, I worked in the basketball office at the University of Michigan. And when I think back on it, who the hell am I walking up saying, hey, I'd like to see if you guys are looking for somebody to work, because I just wanted to work in sports. And lo and behold, they told me they would call me on Monday. But, nobody had cell phones then. So I cut class all day on Monday, stayed home. They didn't call, but they called me on Tuesday and gave me an opportunity. And then who knew, I got an opportunity to work with the Fab Five and travel. I'll tell you this, and people that are listening, maybe they know, don't know. My autograph is on some basketballs in some people's living rooms. Like we would walk through the lobby. They're like, hey, can we get your autograph? And then finally, I'd grab the Sharpie and just sign my name. And Chris and Jalen and Joanne would go, you are hilarious doing it. I said, hey.
They had the same travel suit as they did, so they didn't know the difference.
Exactly. So I'm good. But that's how I got in this business. I really found an opportunity working in the basketball office at Michigan, just helping out in the office. And from there, I'll tell you, Mike Tranghese set me up with my next opportunity. And Mike, for those that don't know, Mike Tranghese is the commissioner of the Big East. And
Yes.
I interviewed for an internship in sports information. I'm not a sports information guy. I'm a marketing guy. But it was an opportunity. And I'd never been to Rhode Island, so they invited me out to Providence, Rhode Island. I interviewed, and I'm meeting with this commissioner after I met with some other people, and Mike Tranghese sat across from his desk and said, you're not a sports information guy. Why are you here today? I said, because you have an opportunity, and I want to work in this business and learn all I can. And
Great.
And so I didn't get that opportunity, but a few months later, I got a call from Connie Nickel at the University of Miami and said, hey, Mike Tranghese allocated some money for you to come down and help us out with marketing basketball. And that was the next step, and kind of just continued from there. So it's time and place. It's jumping in. But if I didn't jump, the one thing is, I like to tell people, it's like the movie business sometimes. It's everybody wants in this business until they have to work in it. You guys are broadcasters. Everybody wants to broadcast till they find out, well, wait a minute, you just don't sit down. You do a little bit of research. You got to prepare. You got to check the light levels, the sound levels. You got to do all those pieces. They're like, oh, you just don't sit down and do it. No, you got to give time. So that's how I got in, and I've helped a lot of. I try to say that I help a lot of people along the way, and I've helped some people, and I've paid it forward. So as a matter of fact, Monday, a young man who's at Lawrence Tech up in Michigan, we were on a Zoom just like this, and he reached out to me, and we were on the phone for an hour and a half on Monday, him just asking me how does he do next step stuff, and I've connected him with a couple of other people, and hopefully something works out for him.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am going on to eBay or somewhere. I'm on the hunt for a basketball that's got Jason Horn, Juwan Howard, Jalen Rose, and I'm looking for that.
Everybody.
I have got that is a collector's item. I may pay a good penny for that, but I'm going to be looking for that. No doubt now.
I'm on somebody's credenzas somewhere in America, on several credenzas in America. It's pretty fun.
I appreciate you sharing that. I'm serious. I'm on the hunt for that. But before we get into talking a little bit about the university, I want to first say congratulations to you. This past week, the NAIA recognized you as the National Athletics Director of the Year for 2019-20. You became the first African American to receive this prestigious award, the first from an HBCU, the first from a Louisiana NAIA member, and just the second from out of the conference, the GCAC. I saw I love the Twitter love that you got, but just if you'd like to take a second and just express your thoughts and all that went into that and just being recognized. I'm assuming that award comes from your peers within the conference. Just your thoughts on being recognized by such an award.
Wow. I mean, I was floored. I got it. They notified me by email, and I was actually, was it Tuesday? I was meeting Brett Simpson, the AD at Loyola, for coffee. We talk about, every now and then we just need to unplug and sit down and chat. And so I was waiting for him, and I just happened to check my email, and I went, holy crap. And this email came through that said that I was named the National Athletic Director of the Year. Now, did I know that I was up for it? Yes. Did I expect to win it? Absolutely not. And then kind of when our Associate Athletic Director, Ed Cassier, kind of did the research and said, the first African American, the first HBC, like it was just, I really was speechless. And for most people that know me, that's hard to do. So it was pretty cool. And then I sent a screenshot and to my parents and did it. And my mom didn't call me until that night. And so I called her, and this is going to sound a little morbid. So she didn't call me, I called her. And I said, have you checked your phone all day? She's like, yeah. And I said, you didn't call me or anything? I said, I'm just making sure you're not dead. And she laughed. She said, didn't you realize like there were cousins and aunts and uncles like texting you? I said, well, yeah. I said, I didn't even think anything of it. She says, well, who do you think sent it to them? And so it was pretty funny, but it's cool because
just like a mom. I love it. I always teach it.
Right. I mean, it was funny. I said, but I swear to God, I did say to her, I said, I'm just making sure you're not dead. I haven't heard from you. You didn't text me back, nothing. And she laughed. She said, well, you waited long enough to see if I was still alive. She's funny.
Oh, awesome comeback.
But it's really been an awesome past couple of days amongst just people in the athletic department, people at the university, people across the country, people that I worked with 30 years ago that saw it. And it's just been really humbling and awesome for me. And really, it's just a testament to what we've been able to accomplish as a team here. Our coaches, our student athletes, our administration, just everyone buying in. And like I said, we live by win, grow, and graduate around here. And we want people to come in and win from day one, that when they get on campus. We want them to grow from high school into early adulthood, and we want them to graduate from the university. So our GPAs have gone up since I've been here. We've got more people that have 3.0s than ever. We've added some sports, so we've got more student athletes than we probably had in school history, at least in the modern era. That is definitely a fact. So my thing is I pull on my experiences from the different places that I've been, and is everything going to work here at Xavier? No, but have we had some fun here? Yes. Have we won some championships here? Yes. And it's about helping our students, helping our staff. Since I've been here, we've had a couple of staff members go on to be young staff members go on and be head coaches. Some administrators move on, and that's really what I'm about. And I think I learned that, early in my career about helping people kind of get next level and achieve their dreams. So that's a lot of what I do. I do fuss and yell. They'll tell you I fuss and yell. There's not always a smile on my face, but at the end, um, it's about moving people forward. And I think this award recognizes it. The conduit is me, but it really is the body of work that our university administration has invested in our athletic department. What our alumni do. We travel pretty good when we go on the road. We've put ourselves in a position that when we go to places and if they're fortunate enough to beat us, they celebrate like it's the national championship. And I tell our kids that's okay. When we win, I said, the whole expression of act like you've been there before, it's good. We played a team and they won a set off of us in volleyball, and you'd swear there were streamers and balloons getting ready to come down. And I won't mention the school, but one of their other coaches who was in the crowd after they won the first set, he said, "Oh my goodness, we got a chance." And then when we won the second set, 25-8, he said, "Where are my keys? I'm out of here." So, but it's fun, and that's what Xavier's about. It's about being leaders. If you think about the things that Dr. Norman Francis was able to accomplish, like most people don't know that the Freedom Riders were housed on our campus at one point. Recently, the city has said that they are going to rename Jefferson Davis Parkway to Norman C. Francis Parkway, and his pictures in the Smithsonian, and Catherine Drexel, who founded the university, and a lot of the things, and really just living the mission of the university. So that's what we promote here within our administration, and we live it within the athletic department, and we try to live it at the highest level possible.
All right.
I answered your question.
All right, A.D. Horn. The big decision has been made. Well, I'm gonna take this back. In April, I put out an article with the help of my colleagues, and we talked about some possible realignment that was potentially going on. A&T had already moved by then. Fam and Bethune were rumored to be moving. There were a few other people. We even looked at the GCAC conference. And coach, I got to give y'all credit. I did my research. I did my homework. I talked to people. Nowhere on that map, nowhere of anybody who I talked to was Xavier even in the conversation of a team that was possibly going to be moving from the GCAC. Yes, we've heard of some other people in the GCAC who are moving or will be moving. Some that are known, some that are rumored that you probably had privy to, but I won't repeat here on this because they should have the opportunity to come out with it. But once again, nowhere was Xavier on the map. So, coach, take us through the decision-making process, your portion of that decision-making process. How much of a role did you play in that decision-making process?
So, yes, it was very quiet. I'll tell you that there was I also serve as an officer on the Ncaa Athletic Directors Association, and I got on the call a little bit late this week, but I guess they had been talking. The buzz talk was Xavier moving to the Red River Conference, and one commissioner texted me and he said, "Wow, this was kept really quiet." He says, normally this stuff is out there. And he said, "Congratulations on that you were able to keep it quiet." It happened relatively quickly. So, part of my job is, as the athletic director, is to always survey the landscape, know where we are, know where we sit. And as you gentlemen know, we've added some sports. We've added competitive cheerleading. We've added indoor track. We've added baseball. We've added softball. We're looking at some other sports down the stretch as well, to grow our opportunities for students at our campus. And part of the consideration is that we needed a home for our sports. So we played all of the sports that the GCAC had as championship sports, and we added some new ones. And so our picture changed. And yes, there was some discussion about some folks within the GCAC adding some sports and what have you. And we had a discussion with our athletic advisory committee. Our athletic advisory committee, I did some research, had a conversation and presentation with our athletic advisory committee, and then, a recommendation was made to our president and our cabinet, and some decisions were made, and we decided to move forward with joining the Red River Conference, and it wasn't just an athletics decision. It really was part and parcel some decisions that help us grow as a university, broad-based. We're still aligning ourselves with fellow HBCUs. We draw, if you look at not only our student athlete profile, but if you look at our student profile, probably the largest number of students outside of the state of Louisiana hail from the state of Texas. And so that was a consideration. We recruit heavily in Houston, Dallas, some in San Antonio, and northern Louisiana, where you've got LSU Alexandria and LSU Shreveport. And so there's some synergy there. We've got a lot of alums in those spaces. Had some conversations with our associate vice president for alumni affairs, and that was a good move. Talked to our folks in enrollment management. So it was we had some healthy discussions, and I don't move too slowly. I kind of, if we say we're going to do something, we're not waiting around. Sometimes people tell them I beat them up. I'll ask them, on Tuesday, let's get this done. And then on Wednesday, I say, how much progress did we make? So so it was kept pretty quietly. Had some conversations with the folks at the Red River, and then they discussed us, and it was and might I say, it was a unanimous decision to extend an invitation for Xavier University of Louisiana to become the 13th member of the conference.
Yes, you really get into that decision process, and I really like the analysis, and I kind of bump my head back and forth, as I like to think I'm with AD and Bryan in regards to being able to, one, dig up information, but two, of trying to be innovative and strategic in regards why moves may happen. And I really like the idea that one of the things you talked about in that answer is the fact that in terms of the GAC footprint, you have the HBCUs and you have different schools in terms of Louisiana, obviously Mississippi, Alabama, Florida to some degree, depending on what that looks like with Edward Waters moving and making considerations and overtures with the SIC, having an open invitation there. They still haven't made their decision, and obviously Tennessee in regards to how it looks. But now talking about Texas, and more importantly, the cities that you're talking about. Xavier is in New Orleans, a major metropolitan city. You talk about St. Thomas, not an HBCU, but it is in Houston in terms of that. Obviously, you have Dallas with Paul Quinn College, part of the Red River, and how that's a major metropolitan city. You talked about San Antonio, and what does that look like? Obviously, Austin, when you talk about comparatively speaking in terms of cities, fourth largest, fifth largest city in the state of Texas, but in terms of a metropolitan city, it is that. And you have Houston-Tillerson there. So four of the cities we talked about have HBCUs in it, and how that connects, which sets up my question in terms of that. And I want you to visit this not in terms of a decision-making process. Obviously, you keep all that to the best. But if you could get into the nuances in terms of your experience coming from Ncaa member Michigan back then, as you were just trying to get into it, having the conversation with a commissioner at that time of the Big East, Trans-EC, and then working at University of Miami, NCAA, Division One, obviously. But talk about the juxtapose in terms of the NAIA and the NCAA in terms of conference affiliation. Edward Waters, NCAA Division Two at SIAC, and now this partnership with the Red River Athletic Conference, moving in the NIA from Gulf Coast Athletic Conference to the Red River Athletic Conference. But can you juxtapose that framing of the NAIA versus NCAA and what that looks like, membership, particularly NIA and NCAA Division Two? And I'm setting this up for fans that try to understand athletics, and we don't get a chance to get it inside that circle. Certainly the fans, we get a little more of covering it, but what does that look like, and how do you come in framing the decisions when you have to take that macro level framework of a decision?
So some of it is that it puts us in front of more of our alums. So if you took a look at the GCAC, and we've enjoyed we're a charter member, we've been a member since 1980. But when you take a look at how, one of the things that also happened is the NAIA went to one division in basketball. So 2 divisions, they went to 1. And so there's other shifts that happen across the country. But when you take a look at, I'll use as an example. So the money that you see, take the Big Ten, for example. If you think back, maybe a year before Maryland joined the Big Ten, they announced they were dropping 7 or 8 sports. Then I guess the Big Ten called and they said, "We're just kidding. You guys can hang around." So they didn't drop those sports. But for us, as I analyze it, and part of my presentation to our athletic advisory committee, is it gets us more organic opportunities with our fan base, with our alumni base, and that's critical for any university, that it gets us an opportunity to have more discussions with potential donors or alums that feel a little bit disconnected from the university. Now, if we're coming into Houston, they can see us a couple times. Our alumni club there will host some events. Our alumni folks from campus can say, "Hey, why don't you guys do an event the night before the basketball game or the afternoon, or host a tailgate before the game?" So really, that was my thought process and part of my presentation to my campus community. And then just even with admissions, it's how do we continue to build a better mousetrap? And so talking to our enrollment management people and looking at some of those pieces where we can broaden our reach or fine tune it, I guess, is another way as well. And then the other pieces for our student athletes, it's different experiences. So, in my career, I'm fortunate that my family, we went on vacation. There's a lot of people never been on a vacation, or they go on a vacation once every 5 years with their family. And I'll tell you a story. Like, since I've been here, we men's basketball team, they were heading to play Florida Memorial in St. Thomas down in Miami, and they were going to, it's 17, 18, 19-year-olds. So the coach was going to have them stay somewhere in nondescript, near, coaches book stuff near the arena. It's about convenience. And I said, no, let me book the hotel. I lived in Miami for a few years, so called around, called a few friends, and actually they stayed on Miami Beach. And I said, we're not going to put them on South Beach. We're going to go a little farther up. We stayed like mid beach, so it's a little bit of a hike to get to things. But the assistant coach called me, and he was laughing, and I said, "What?" He said, "This hotel is really nice." He's like, "How much did it cost?" I said, "Don't worry about it. Just enjoy it." He said, "These grown, tough guys walked in here like 11-year-olds, pulled out their phones, taking pictures, like, wow, this is just a fancy hotel." And they walked out by the pool, and and he said one kid said, "Well, if this is the pool, what's that?" The kid had never seen the ocean.
Right. Wow.
You know, so for me, a lot of it's about opportunity. And do you get to do some special things? Like I tell coaches, and sometimes you have to force it, but I tell coaches you got to make it educational. You gotta do some fun things. And for them, it was wow. You know, like I'll never forget. My cousin told me she took her kids to Disney, and they stayed at like the Nickelodeon hotel. And she said her kids were cool at the Nickelodeon hotel and at the pool. She said, I already bought these tickets. Get your butt in that rental car. We are headed over here. Like, no, this is like she said I could have saved a lot more money, but it really is, you know, sometimes we forget about just the experience. You know, another time we were playing near Memphis. And so I said to the coaches, I said, you know, why not head over, you know, during the downtime, instead of just staying at the hotel, go to Lorraine Motel, you know, go ahead. And I'll never forget, like, it was like, well, how much is this going to cost and this, that, and the other? I said, you got an athletic director who just told you to do it. Just do it. And I had some student athletes come back and say, thanks for setting that up. I said, what are you talking about? I said, coach set that up. And they did one of these. We know this wasn't his decision. And I just laughed and I walked away. But it's about experience. And I think heading into Austin and seeing something a little bit differently. Going to Houston, going to Dallas, for some of the guys that come from small towns, they've never done some of those things. They've never seen, you know, tall buildings. For some guys, New Orleans is a gigantic city, and it's not. I mean, so it's, for me, a lot of, you know, some of the decision is how do you live the day to day? And I think for some of the student athletes, it'll be a great opportunity for them to see some new and different things. So that weighed into it a little bit. The difference between the Ncaa and the NCAA, it all depends on where you are. If you're in the Southland Conference, it's vastly different than if you're in the Big Ten, than if you're in the Big East. You know, so you gotta adjust and look at things a little bit differently. You know, so that's kind of how part of the overall global decision when we made it.
Thank you.
Like I'll tell this, my track coach is going to be mad. He's like, well, you know, now it's more travel for us. I said, coach, you only have one event that you do in conference. It's the conference championship. What are you talking about? I'm like, you can still go run against William Carey and I said, you got to go one. You still had to go to the conference championship. You only got one, and you complaining about it. So, and he's like, yeah, I didn't think about it that way. But it's going to really be a good move, and I think it'll allow us as a university to really connect organically with a lot of our alums. Because I have gotten a lot of calls over the years. When are you guys going to come here? When are you guys going to come there? Mm-hmm. You'd be amazed at when we have gone to some places, alums have shown up. When we went to my hometown with volleyball, when we've headed up to Detroit, like there was one alum, she drove an hour to just come in and say hi. And then she left and went back. She said, I just wanted to come and see my Xavier. They don't come up here too often. So I wanted to just come out, see Xavier, but I got to get back to work. And that's awesome. So if we can create more of those opportunities to connect and make them organic, that's what we want to do.
A.D. Horn, I love the way you framed all of the benefits of the move. I think, you know, for anyone, as Dr. Cavil said, to give people that understanding of how it works, being able to see the benefits. I'm very intrigued by how the ball kind of gets rolling. You know, like, where was that first piece of yarn? You know, how did it start rolling into where it is today? So my question for you is, can you maybe share that first thought? Obviously, with the Red River making a unanimous decision, there were all kinds of, you know, back channel conversations or whatever that went on, or maybe it was conversations from years ago. But for you, given the history of being with the GCAC for 40 something years, where was the impetus to even consider moving? I mean, was there maybe one or two events, or maybe it was something that the Red River was doing, or that kind of said, it's time. It's time to really think about expanding our brand, which it sounds like that's what it is you're doing. You're taking from a conference that formerly was made up of, at least in the last couple of years, it went from 8 to 7. And now you're expanding out into a larger conference, which more opportunities, more travel, some of the locations you mentioned. So it really is an expansion of the Xavier brand. But as I said, I'm kind of curious if you can share, maybe if you think back, where were those first thoughts or conversations at to say, yeah, I think the Red River would be a good spot for us to potentially move to. I know a lot of things have to happen, but I'm just curious about that.
You're asking about the secret sauce?
Well, okay, so maybe not, you don't have to give me every ingredient, but maybe you leave a few things out, but just give me maybe a nugget or two.
So a little bit of it was from a competitive standpoint, and in many of the sports in the GCAC, it's very competitive national. But like I said, we added some sports that the GCAC just didn't have as a championship. So for a long time, and our tennis teams are two of the best in the nation. Our men's tennis team finished last year number 2. Women's team in the shortened season finished number 3. We finished national runner-up, and we did that as an independent. And we were not in the conference, at least since I've been here. And so they weren't in the conference, and then baseball we're not in the conference, and softball. So we were pretty much having just as many sports that were in the GCAC competing as we had outside. And so, that was the early impetus on where can we get the most bang for our buck with everyone being able to compete and contend for championships. So like this year, in 2021, baseball and softball are competing as an independent. Competitive cheerleading, competing as an independent. Now we are playing in the Southern States Conference in tennis for the first year, but next year we will be in the Red River. So those are kind of some of the early pieces. And then when I just kind of analyzed it and said, how else can we help, using your words, and yes, it's part of it, is how do we continue to grow the brand of the university with this tool called athletics. And one of the ways is, what do they say, it's bigger in Texas, so it's it's an opportunity to reach more students, to reach more alums, to get into some bigger fan bases, and have someone who, they may be a Paul Quinn alum, but they've got a high school kid who's considering going somewhere, and they need to hear a new name, and the new name is Xavier, and they will look it up, and they will look on our website, and they will see some great things, and they'll see a great city, and they'll see that we're if they're Catholic, they'll see that we're the only Black and Catholic university in the country. If they look at U.S. News and World Report, they'll see that in terms of HBCUs, we're number 3. So they'll look and they'll see, hey, I want to go to medical school. Well, Xavier holds the distinction of putting more Blacks in that finish medical school than any other school in the country. So it is a way and an avenue for us to continue to grow. How do we continue to build a better mousetrap? But really the impetus, and I said, I'll tell you this, from year one, I look at the landscape every year, and that's what I did. And that's what we continue to do, and just kind of gathering information, and really this was, sat down and said, this is the time, and this is where we're going, and fortunately the folks on campus agreed with me.
All right, AD Horn. We're gonna go around one last time. Everybody has a couple of last questions that they want to get off to you. Now, I hope I don't put you on the spot when I ask you this question. But your current conference, which is soon to be your former conference,
Mhm.
Is, you know, it's in a funny position right now. It's in a cloudy space right now. We've already know about Edward Waters have an open invitation from the SIAC to join Division Two. We know SUNO, Southern University of New Orleans, dropped athletics last year.
They
Suspended.
Yes.
Suspended. Okay, yeah, suspended athletics last year. Don't know timetable on a possible return. We've got Xavier University in New Orleans put it in their papers to transfer to another conference.
Mhm.
There are rumors and other stories about other schools within the conference.
I don't know what you mean. Who?
I'll let you put that out there. I'm not gonna put that out there, even though I know who they are. But just the future of the former conference, the health of the GCAC. What do you see the health of the GCAC potentially going? Because I know you're leaving, but it's like an ex girlfriend. You still love her. You just have to move on to a new one.
Like I told you, I mean, like we've enjoyed, we've enjoyed being a member of the conference. We've enjoyed winning a lot of championships. We've enjoyed, what is it, 9 out of the last 10 years winning the Commissioner's Cup with the GCAC. So we enjoy the camaraderie. We enjoy all of that. The GCAC has 6 members, and you need a minimum of 6 to continue to have a championship and to continue to have an automatic to the national championship. And there will enjoy that. Are there discussions with some potential new members? There absolutely is. So, the GCAC hopefully will be around for a long time. It really is, a big thing was we've added some sports, and we just needed some continuity with all of our sports so that our student athlete experience kind of, as best we can keep it the same across the board. That's really it. I mean, I think the GCAC, I know that they're going to be coming for us this year, and I mean, that's just what it is, and schools make decisions for the. It really was a Xavier decision, and it was less a GCAC decision. It was this is where we are with our footprint, with our teams, with our sports, and as we continue to grow, we need to make sure that we have a home for all of our sports, and so that's a big piece of it.
I want to follow up that. Obviously, a lot of people are aware of the hometown, the city rival between Dillard and Xavier. As an athletic director, obviously, it's just one side of the equation. Are you at liberty to talk about whether you want to continue to play those matchups in the sports that Dillard and Xavier had together?
Xavier absolutely 100% wants to continue to play Dillard on a regular basis.
Thank you. Short and sweet.
In all
Go ahead, Bryan.
In all sports that both of us field the team, it makes sense. It's just like we still play Loyola. Similar situation. We still play them. I'm gonna throw Brett Simpson under the bus, the AD over there real quick, because one time his volleyball coach didn't want to play us, and so I called him. I said, we're 2 minutes away from each other. Why on earth would we not play? He's like, let me call you back. And then the volleyball coach said, okay, we'll play. And I said, well, what did you say to her? He said, we got to play Xavier. I get such a thrill out of consoling him after we win. So that's what he said. We haven't lost to him since, but that's what he said, and and that's okay. But our plan is that it is probably the best rivalry in the state, arguably the best attended when it comes to basketball in the state. So we continue it, and you guys follow us on social media and stuff, and as you know, our SID, when he needs a throwback, he finds one.
Oh, he finds
it on the date of the time, and he will put it out there. So
I love it.
It does a great job for us.
That's good to hear. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, A.D. Horn, we're going to get ready to get out of here. But before we get out of here, we're going to let you give all those plugs for the university. Make sure you give them the website. Make sure you tell anybody who wants to write you a check as a donation, where they need to send that check, all the Twitter handles, Instagram. Give all that good stuff out right now.
I don't know that I can remember it all, but
give as much as
Xavier Athletics is XULAGold.com. That is us across all platforms. Again, it's branding. Actually, it's on the social media platforms. It's Xula Gold, XULA Gold, and then our website is XULAGold.com. The university is XULA.edu. What else did you tell me? If somebody wants to cut a check, you can make it out to Jason Horn. No, you can make it out to University of Louisiana, 1 Drexel Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70125. Or you can visit our website, XULAGold.com. Right on the top, there's a button to click donate. We'll take e-checks, we'll take Cash App, we'll take anything. Those are our things, and really we do want people to check out Xavier. It is really a hidden gem in the South, and we continue to grow and do new things, not just in athletics, but as a university. We're really moving some things forward, and we're involved with some of the what do you call it, the trials for COVID testing and all of those pieces, and many of our constituencies are getting involved with that. Again, if you're looking to go to med school and you're African American, the odds are very good if you come through Xavier, assuming you can get admitted. But if you come through Xavier, it'll be good. We got a solid business program. We got a solid music school. Sciences were really strong, solid art program. So check us out, and if you got any questions, you can reach me at 504-520-7329. That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. That was Athletic Director of the Year.
Yes.
Firstly, Jason Horn. That man over there who was just clapping, it was our friend of the show and colleague, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That other guy in that blue over there is my co-host, Brian Fulford. My name is A.D. Drew, and we'll be back right after these short messages.
Thank you.
If you want fall sports, the best thing you can do is, stay indoors. And I think that's ultimately what America has been told for the last couple of weeks. And I know it's tough. It's tough for me. But until we can get this thing curtailed, it's only going to take more time. So if there's anything that you think you can do to get football kicked off, it is to stay inside. And if you stay inside, I guarantee you we'll have football. So the only way we're going to have football is, to curtail it. And the only way to curtail it is to quarantine yourself until we can get a handle on it. So everybody has to do their part for football. We're going to do ours, and we hope that you do yours. And if you do, there's a 100% guarantee we'll play. But if we don't sit and quarantine ourselves and social distance ourselves from each other, it could jeopardize our ability to play football in the fall. So this stuff is serious, and it's not going to go away by itself. We have to do our part. So I just urge everybody to do so.
Oh, the census, when counting everyone in your home helps support your neighborhood for the next 10 years.
Let's go home and count Papi.
Make your family count.
The census helps fund schools, healthcare, and more. Visit 2020census.gov.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
they can follow their dreams.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Joining us on this special edition is Xavier University head coach, women's basketball head coach, Bo Browder. In case you guys have not heard, you have not been following them because they're in the NAIA, but they're one of our schools. They're at HBCU also. We got to give them their love. They made the big announcement earlier this week that they were leaving the GCAC after 40 years as a charter member and moving west to the Red River Athletic Conference. So first of all, before we get into that, Coach Browder, how you doing? How's the family? How are things going on campus? Just give us a quick rundown.
Well, family is doing well. Everybody's been pretty safe going through this virus situation. The university is doing really outstanding. We had one of our better enrollments when we talk about incoming freshmen. I think we had about 800, maybe 800 freshmen to enroll at Xavier this year. So from a university standpoint, our enrollment is pretty high. We're really excited about that. We got a lot of things going on in our athletic department right now with additional to softball and baseball. And last year, from an academic standpoint, we pretty much had almost a 3.0 for our student athletes. So things are going extremely well. We've been fortunate to avoid two major hurricanes that went different directions, really not hurt Lake Charles, Louisiana really, really bad. A storm hit there, and we had a storm this week that we missed. So right now, we've been very fortunate in the city of New Orleans and our local area to miss two major hurricanes. So we are just going to keep praying, and hopefully we don't have any more hurricanes the rest of the year for the whole country and everything. So, but other than that, things are going extremely well.
For those who do not know, if you could, Coach, you said you had 800 incoming freshmen. Approximately how many students attend Xavier University?
We are pretty much around 3,500 and everything. Pretty much about 3,500 to 4,000. Consistently, we're definitely between 3,200 and everything. But at the beginning of the semesters, we are usually between 35 and 4,000 students. And we are well known for biology pre-med, excellent pharmacy program, and we have an outstanding business program also.
Correct. And students taking classes online, in class, hybrid model.
Yes, pretty much. Some of my student athletes are going to class twice a week and taking the rest of the days online and everything. So they have options to go online or go hybrid and everything like that. So it's been truly a blessing. The university and I did a great job. We're getting tested. All the students are getting tested on campus at least once every 2 or 3 weeks. So we feel really good about that. The staff also are going through testing also. So we're trying to make sure everybody is safe and everything.
All right. Now, for the elephant in the room, as we like to call it, Xavier made the big decision to move west, leaving the GCAC, which a lot of people may or may not realize it is a conference made up exclusively of HBCUs at this current time. But back in its founding in 1981, it was a hybrid conference with only three HBCUs, and I believe 5 non-HBCUs at that point in time. And over the years, it has evolved into an exclusive HBCU conference. But as recently as 2010, there were non-HBCUs in the conference. So first, what are your feelings about moving over to the Red River?
Well, like you was talking about, I mean, I've been in a situation where I have coached when we was pretty much a very diverse conference. Then we had pretty much a HBCU conference. So I done had the taste of both and everything. So with us moving over to the Red River, it's going to give us an opportunity to compete with some of the top NAIA schools in the country. It's a very strong conference with baseball, softball, track, volleyball, and their basketball programs are really outstanding. I mean, you got two of the top 10 programs in the Red River from the NAIA standpoint, with LSU Alexandria and LSU Shreveport on the men's side. So it's a very competitive conference. And we also be in a conference that, like they get together sometime and call them power conferences, where we'll automatically have 3 NAIA national bids. So that's really also. And with us adding sports, I think it was a situation where, from an athletic director standpoint, the conversation he had with us was regarding making sure all the rest of our sports would be able to compete for a championship. But from a travel standpoint, it's great traveling to Texas. We do a lot of recruiting in Texas. I'm excited to be able to bring some of my players back to their hometowns and everything. But the bottom line is, it's an outstanding conference for us to have an opportunity to participate in.
All right, and for those who do not know, there are 5 HBCUs currently in the Red River Conference. Xavier would be number 6. Those 5 are Houston-Tolleson in Austin, Texas, Jarvis Christian in Hawkins, Texas, Paul Quinn in Dallas, Texas, Texas College in Tyler, Texas, and Wiley College in Marshall, Texas. Since we are an HBCU sports show, let's just talk about those future matchups with those HBCUs, with you being the number 6 on that list. What are you looking forward to with those matchups with those other HBCUs?
Oh no, it's going to be some exciting games. You know, we always had, you know, ever since I've been at Xavier for 22 years, we always had some very competitive games against Paul Quinn, Wiley College, and Texas College also. So, you know, we're going to be excited to get those matchups started again. I think those schools are very excited about us coming into their conference. But like I said from the get-go, it's a very competitive conference, and those HBC matchups is just going to be real excited and everything.
Now, what about the non-HBCUs? Any particular one that you're looking forward to? I don't know if you have any history with the other colleges and universities in that conference.
Yeah. We, you know, Our Lady of the Lake has always had one of the top women's basketball programs in the country from the NAIA standpoint, and we have always played them really tough. I think we done played six to seven games since I've been here against Our Lady of the Lake, and 5 of those games now went overtime, and the other 2 games was either won or lost by 2 points. So I'm really excited to have an opportunity to play them every year. Like I said, it's a great opportunity for our university and everything.
All right. Now, you've been in the GCAC. I believe this will be your 23rd year. Do I have that number correct, Coach?
That's correct.
Okay. 485 victories, 202 losses. So you're approaching that magical milestone of 500. Will it be? And I'm trying to say politically correct when I ask this question. Will it be more? Will it be better or more favorable for you to win that number 500 in the GCAC, or get number 500 in the Red River, or you just gonna take it wherever it comes?
Well, as a coach, like they said, sometimes we do coach talk and everything like that. It would be great to do it in the GCAC, but I know how difficult it is to win and everything, and I just take it wherever I can get it. I'm just going to be upfront with you, but the bottom line is, I'm hoping and praying that we have a good year. So if we have a good year, I'll definitely be able to get it within the GCAC. Good Lord said the same.
Leaving the GCAC, we know Edward Waters is considering making the transition to Division II. There have been rumbles and rumors about other schools possibly leaving the GCAC, but we're not going to harp on those right now. What I want to know from you, Coach, of the other 7 teams in the GCAC currently, right now, which one is the toughest atmosphere for you to go on the road and play at right now?
It's Talladega. Talladega has their student body really gets involved in the games, and their women's basketball program is an excellent program too. It's a top 15 NAIA program. So going to Talladega is very difficult. But also, like I said, Edward Waters have made major moves. Also, I have to take my hat off to them. Also, their student body really gets involved into the games, and we have the GCAC tournament there this year. So it's going to be very challenging to go in on there and try to win a GCAC championship at Edward Waters, because their fans are really rowdy. They get into it, and they have one of the best bands in the conference also. So those 2 schools are very challenging. But for our students on Xavier campus, it's probably the Xavier Dillard game, because anytime you can get between 2,500 and 3,000 students at a game, that's a big crowd, and it's difficult to play in that type of environment when you're not accustomed to it. So those are 3. I know you asked me for 1, but I gave you 3 and everything.
And that's fair, Coach. That's truly fair. Of all the campuses in the GCAC that you have visited, which one do you think you're going to miss the most going to of those other 7 campuses? Just beautiful campus, atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They all are nice campuses and everything. And like I said, I really, and I can say that I enjoy going to Jacksonville. I enjoy going to Edward Waters. I think it's a very nice place. The campus is nice. They're very competitive and everything, and they have a wonderful staff also. If I would have to pick one, I would say I enjoy Jacksonville a little bit more. How about that?
Now, you mentioned Talladega. They're opening up a brand new on-campus arena this year. Are you looking forward to playing in that one? And maybe, how can I put this? Not let that those home games be so bittersweet when those gold nuggets come in there?
Yes, it's going to be a little different. I think the transition, they had the best home court advantage since since we pretty much end up joining. We had a new building with the Convocation Center that seats about 4,000 to 4,500. So anytime you go from playing in a small venue like we was in the Bourne, we could only have like 1,500 or 2,000 in at a max. And when you have a packed crowd in there, that's some serious home court advantage. But anytime you move to arena setting, it kind of takes some of that energy away. So I'm kind of excited to have an opportunity to play in there. Anytime you can go and play in a new arena for his first year, that's exciting for the home team, but also for the visiting team also.
All right. We're going to get you out of here on these last couple of questions. How has this year been from recruiting to scheduling to everything else that's happened since the world stopped in March? Kind of go through that and how And part two of that question is, how are things going to be different going into this upcoming basketball season?
All right. Well, different. It's just been a challenge for everybody. I think I have truly been blessed to um, work at all levels. I mean, I started off on the junior college level, and I think that really helped me going through this transition with the virus and everything. That a lot of times in the JUCO you don't have a big budget, so a lot of times you got to watch film and make a lot of calls on the phone. So pretty much that's what I was doing with the process of recruiting and reaching out to different coaches and everything like that. So we really didn't get a chance to go out and see any players. The 2021 class has been very difficult. They really, I call them you're watching them on game tape, and hopefully in December and January, February, March, we'll get a chance to really watch the 21 class. I mean, we got a chance to see them as juniors, but that was really late in the game and everything like that. But the recruiting process has been a little challenging. But other than that, you just make the adjustment. I think one thing about coaches, I mean, we tell our players all the time about making adjustments, and pretty much we have to practice what we preach right now, because as a staff, we really have to make some adjustment in the way we handle practice time, the way we deal with recruiting, the way we deal with scheduling. The whole basketball staff has just have to be able to make adjustments with that.
And what have some of those adjustments been? Because I keep up with the readings. You can only you are already limited during the off season how many players that you can have in doing the workout. They've even put even more limitations, more restrictions. Obviously, we've got the increased testing. Just kind of give us a little synopsis on some of those changes that you have had to make, those audibles you've had to call.
Right, because right now, usually when usually when the students hit campus and everything, we are able to we'll do our conditioning with them, we'll do our weight room time, and we'll be fortunate to let them get some individual workouts. As a coaching staff, maybe get some individual with them. But right now, there's no 5-on-5 on our campus. We haven't been cleared to do any 5-on-5. There's no free play basketball going on in the rec center. So there's no students on this campus that's able to play 5-on-5. If you're part of the athletic program or the rec program, there's no 5-on-5. So that's really been an adjustment. Like I said, we have recruits that we sign, and we was excited about them, but I haven't seen them play on Xavier campus right now. I haven't seen them do any 5-on-5 workouts. So individual workouts, sometimes they can look like they're all American, but then when you put them out there 5-on-5, that's a totally different game plan and everything. So that's been really one of the biggest adjustments. And right now, we really don't know when we're going to get cleared for 5-on-5. So we just being patiently waiting and trying to do individual work and do conditioning as much as possible right now.
All right. Coach, I pretty much asked everything that I need to ask, so I want to give you the last word. Anything you need to get off your chest, anything you want to say to your alumni, your family, your friends, the floor is yours now, Coach.
No, just talking about our alumni, we have an outstanding alumni. We really appreciate y'all's support. Like I said, I've been here 22 years and have a lot of former players that played for me and Gold Rush players that I know. I just want to give y'all special thanks out for supporting the university, supporting our athletic department, and we just want to keep making y'all proud and everything. And our focus here is to make sure we graduate our student athletes and win championships. And the way we do that is with our alumni support and our president and our faculty and staff and everything. And we just want to tell y'all thanks for your support.
And there you have it from the legendary coach, Bo Browder. And if you did not see the bracket challenge that we had back in the springtime, we actually named one of our brackets after Coach Browder because he is one of the winningest coaches on the women's side, and I know as far as NAIA coaches, he is the top. He's the winningest HBCU coach currently active on the women's side of basketball. You didn't think I knew that about you, did you, Coach?
No, I didn't think you knew that and everything. But that's like I said, that's a big time accomplishment. But that's all about doing with my staff and the former players who have played for me, and I just feel truly blessed to be in this position and to have the opportunity to coach at the university and everything. Like I said, and I'm a Christian man anyway, and I always tell them it's not my will, it's God's will, So that's the bottom line and everything.
Xavier University head coach Bo Browder, thank him for his time. And this is A.D. Drew for the BCSN SportsWrap, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Because the fight isn't over yet.
You will see me choose to protect my community by wearing a face cover.
And even with my face covered,
you will see me.
As a son.
As a man with a never quit attitude.
As a fighter for change.
Join me in wearing a face cover.
To help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because this is one small act of kindness
that has the power to make a big difference.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Have you had your Earthblend Coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
It's another sad day in America. Painful to be introduced to George Floyd during his last breath with a cop's knee on his neck. On his neck. He deserves so much more.
How many black lives have to be taken before something is done?
We are not a threat.
I am shaking as I type.
This has got to stop.
We are sick of it.
We need conviction.
I just want us all to live.
Death will not stop until the powers that be are finally held accountable.
Don't look away from the truth until every one of us are free from white supremacy.
The world stands with you.
Criminalizing and killing of black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan? Trayvon, Shonda,
Anderson, Deborah Dance,
Megan Flanagan, Jeremiah Hall,
Michelle Lee
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name. Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again, and always, we fight for justice.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Rest in power, beautiful. You didn't deserve this.
So the question here, here's Tougaloo picking up full court pressure. Right. Now, everybody's in the bonus, so cheap fouls here can hurt you. Send someone to the line. Mark running the baseline. Finds Dumas. There's TJ. He's got to get it across. Takes his time. Into the lane. There's the traffic. 20 seconds. Coach calls for a spread. Ball in the hands of TJ Jones. Right down the middle of the lane. Off the lane. Gets it. TJ Jones makes that. And we had a quick timeout. Yes. We'll see what happens. Williams has it. Are they going to foul him? Oh, he kicked off his foot. He lost the ball, and that's going to do it. Xavier, the gold rush. The gold rush. Our champion of the GCAC. Final score. Xavier 78. Tougaloo 75. An unbelievable finish to this ball game. The first GCAC tournament championship since 1996.
That's how you win a championship, Coach.
That's how we're going to start this segment of this interview off. BCSN SportsWrap. Joining us is our partner in crime, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil from inside the HBCU Sportslab. And the last time I saw this gentleman in person, he was one of those people jumping around like crazy in that championship video. Coach Alfred Williams of the GCAC men's basketball champion, Xavier University Gold Rush. Coach, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing well. Just brought back some memories, man. It feels like eons ago, but it brought back some good memories, though.
Does it still bring chills to you every time you watch it?
Yeah, it's funny how, we had the ball in our hands of our freshman point guard. A lot of people first are having a freshman in that kind of moment, but that was special because that Tougaloo team, we lost to them at their house, and he had the ball in his hands again late in the game and had to make a play. We ended up losing on the road, and then he ended up coming back and winning the championship, with the ball in his hands. So it's just kind of ironic how that happened. And then, just to have that moment for the university, man, was big. It was big for us, man, and we were definitely excited, man, to get that monkey off our back, so to speak. But we definitely looking forward to hopefully not having a one-trick pony, being able to do it again next year. So we're excited. We're ready to get rocking and rolling if we get rocking and rolling. But it definitely was a good moment for us.
Speaking of if we get rocking and rolling, before we get to the big elephant in the room, talk about the letdown of winning that championship right there on your home court, and then basically having the rug pulled from up under you about 7 days later with the COVID thing. And by the way, Coach, you are the last HBCU to win their conference title in any sport pre-COVID. So keep that in mind as you defend your championship. But go ahead.
That's something right there. Let me see. It was rough. It was rough because, we had our mindset on going to nationals and really, really representing for the GCAC one, but also for Xavier. And our guys all year long, we were preparing our minds for that moment. And it was just frustrating that, we couldn't go and actually compete. And I had told our guys all year long that, make sure we got to do what we control the controllables. And that was one thing that we preached all year long, man. And this was one of those instances where, yes, we want to go to nationals and yes, we want to compete, but it's one of those things that's out of our control, out of our hands. So we just have to kind of deal with what's presented in front of us, man. And I'm not even going to lie to you. I was sick. I was literally sick for like a week, knowing that we couldn't go to nationals, man. And I think with all the frustration of it, man, I just came down and I was down for like a whole week. But once I finally kind of came to reality that it was a global type of pandemic, man, it made me feel a little better that we were one of the few teams that, like I said, actually end their year on a win. So I was definitely excited about that.
Before I let my regular co-host go, I'm going to yield it to Dr. Cavil and let him come back with a follow-up.
Okay.
Thank you for that, A.D. Coach Williams, I want to take you back to the gym.
Okay.
That day, A.D. painted the picture. We saw the visuals. After watching it again, as you said, it brought about cheers. But do you recall everything in that moment? or how do you reflect on it differently now than what you really recall at that time?
I do reflect on it, man, often actually. Like you said in the video, that we haven't done that. It was 24 years since the last time we won a tournament championship. And, a lot of people, upon my hiring in 2016, a lot of people was, they were kind of skeptical about me getting the job, one. And two, they were saying that, Xavier was the best that it was going to be at that time. It probably couldn't get no better. And so, my focus and, if someone tells me that I can't do something, I definitely lock in and really, really go to work. And that's one of the things that drives me as a competitor, and I'm not afraid to compete against the best of the best. So, we went in, our team went in with the mindset, man, let's just get better every day. My first year, well, there's two things on that video. So my first year, we went 10-20. And to cap it off, that 4-year run with them same freshmen that came in on that 10-20 team, to have them leave as champions, like that right there was surreal. And it's like, all the early morning workouts and the commitment, the level of sacrifice that those guys gave to the program and to the team. I was definitely very excited, for them to end their collegiate career as champions. And so that was one of our goals that we set out for, man. We was able to accomplish those, but we weren't able to go to nationals. But I think, like I said, being able to finish the year on a win, a lot of teams don't get to do that. So we were definitely excited for those moments. And it was just so real to be able to do it in front of our fans, our families. It was just so real, man. And I definitely cherished that moment for a long time.
Now, the man on that championship call, Brian Fulford. Go ahead, Brian. It's your turn.
Hey, good to see you again, Coach. One of the things that I just realized watching that video, your point guard, and you mentioned that he was a freshman, which I did not know. When you called, if you watch yourself in that, when you called for it to be spread out, and I noted that, the young man, he was alert enough that when the defender kind of caught sense that, okay, they're going to maybe run a little clock or slow it down, he kind of looked away. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, that's when he went to the bucket. And that was probably the only reason why he had a step on the defender going to the back. I just noticed that because I saw the clock and I saw you say spread it out. And so most people would think, okay, they're going to take about 4 or 5 seconds here. And it was like he took a half a second, saw the guy look away, and he was like, oh, I'm going to the bucket. That's it. I just noticed that. Did you? Obviously, did you just see that, or do you recall that in the moment?
I'm laughing because if you remember, a week before we played Tougaloo for the regular season championship.
Yes.
And that same matchup, T.J. Jones versus that guard number 10. He hit a similar layup. Like he got past him off the dribble and got to the basket to get a layup for us to secure the regular season championship.
Right.
So when that moment, when we got it across and I saw he was guarding him, I said, man, TJ can take this guy. So we spread it out. He don't need no ball screen. Let's just go at it. And so he definitely went at him. And initially I thought somebody was going to pull, one of the defenders was going to pull to step up, but everybody stayed home because we had, scoring all over the floor.
Yeah.
And he, with this young man, T.J. Jones, man, he's so he's just so confident, man. He puts the work in as a freshman. He was able to, to get the starting job for us and lead us in assists and end up getting freshman of the year. So he was poised for those moments. And, he's been doing that since his high school career, man. He's a 3-time state winning champion here in the state of Louisiana. And, he's definitely a high level. We felt like he was a high level Division I type guard. And for him to come to Xavier and definitely help us, where we're trying to go, man, this is a testament to us, being able to lock in on talent, but also him, choosing Xavier over those other opportunities. So once he got that opportunity, and we knew he can get a shot off at least.
Yeah, it brings a thought to mind there. Yeah, I was going to ask you something about end of the game scenarios and how often you practice it, but talk about TJ Jones and as you mentioned him there, what was his recruiting process like? What was the recruiting process like for you in communicating with him? I mean, were you obviously with him being from the area? Were you constantly in touch with him, or you kind of knew of him? Just give us a little background as a school that plays in the NAIA, and I know a lot of young men sometimes look past NAIA schools, but as I keep telling guys, hey, look, I've seen NAIA programs like yours. Every time I say this, I think of your program and some of the other ones that I've seen in the GCAC. That hey guys, you may look past an NAIA program, but I'm telling you, there is some talent which might be better than some D2s and might be better than a few real bad D1 programs.
Yeah. So the first part, let me see. I want to say this. The first part, let me get it right. The first part of your question was not about his recruitment, but how often we practice those scenarios. So I kind of took the mindset of, how football has the 2-minute drill.
Yeah.
We have similar situations in practice where we kind of put some kind of I guess you'd call them hot plays or plays that come down to last minute situation scenarios. And so we practice those throughout the game. So when, while we're in practice, we have prepared our guys for those kind of situations. So when we get in the game, it's not foreign to them to be in those kind of situations. And so a lot of times we'll have set situations, set plays that we'll call to get, depending on what the scenario is. And but at that time there, man, it was just weird. It's a tie ball game. We got the ball. Let's get the last shot. If we miss it, we go to overtime. So, hey, spread it out. Let's rock and roll. But to talk about TJ, man, so my assistant does an unbelievable job of recognizing talent and definitely, doing a great job of recruiting locally. Our deal coming in as the head coach and the assistant coach was to identify local talent and be able to keep guys home. And so with TJ Jones, he was a guy who, my assistant, he has some great relationships with his high school teams. And we recruited guys from his high school previously, man. And we had our eye on him for a while and just continued to just monitor him and everything. And we knew at the end of my third year, we went 18-14. We had to go get a point guard. Not a guy that pretends to play point guard, but we had to go get a point guard. And we identified him early. I mean, we once the end of the summer was in, we offered him, and we stayed on him all the way through January and February. And then, towards the end, he's like, Coach, man, I'm committed to you guys. And so that kind of started the ball rolling for us to get a lot of local kids. Because now we have, this was like the second wave of us getting local kids, but this was a guy who was definitely getting recruited by Division I schools, Southland level type schools. And so, we were able to jump in there, man, and put our name in the hat. And on our AD, Jason Horn always asked us to swing for the fences, man. And so he was one that we felt like at the end of the day, if we just continue to pursue, with the academic piece that we have, we'll be able to hopefully pull it off, man. And he was able to come, and that one recruit in that area started the domino of the guy that we got for this incoming class now. So, but he's been a special find for us, and he's only getting better because the only thing that he knows is winning. And so he's definitely helping push our culture forward with us winning, and we're just going to try to keep it rolling as long as we can.
All right, Coach. Entering your 5th year at Xavier University, 93 and 65 over those 4 years. But win, lose, or draw, this will be your last season in the GCAC. So give us your reaction. About the move, your feelings of switching conferences.
Well, it's gonna be hard for me because I played in the GCAC from 04 to 08. Being an assistant coach here at Xavier, still in the GCAC, and so now having the opportunity to go to a different conference, different challenge, it's going to be difficult for us. Just getting adjusted to the new demographics of where we're going to be headed and everything. But I like our chances. We play during the regular season. We play a lot of Red River schools, and last year we traveled. We did a 3-game tour swing, Red River schools. And so we're familiar with a lot of those schools in that conference. We hadn't played everybody, but we're familiar with a good bulk of them, and it's going to be a very interesting move for us. It's going to be very challenging. Now, just look at it in our conference, especially in the state of Louisiana. You got Alexandria there and Shreveport there. So, those are 2 top 15, top 10, top 5 teams in the country easily. And so, being able to go against them in our conference, it's only going to make the conference stronger. And so, we understand that, we're going in as the new face and everything, but we're going to try to continue to, push the envelope, continue to, recruit in our region, and continue to just get better in the process, man. But it's going to be tough, leaving the GCAC just because of all the memories that I've had just from a player and also from a coach standpoint.
Coach Williams certainly can understand the memories specifically for yourself that had an opportunity to play in the league and then coach as assistant and then most recently as a championship-winning head coach. With that said, I want to go a little more in terms of the decision process, but with that, we know each institution does it a little differently. How much input did you have in the process in regards as a coach? Some institutions is done just at a presidential level, board level, if you would. Sometimes, obviously, the athletic director will have a level of input. And in various institutions, they go with the coach to at least get some perspective. Can you share with us the autonomy that you had in the decision? And then once you have that, I have a follow-up just on a more macro level question, if you
would. Well, it was definitely above my pay grade for sure. But after we kind of got some information of why the move and why looking at the move, we looked at it from a standpoint from a university where a lot of our students that come to Xavier from a region from Louisiana to a lot of our students come from Texas. And so with the Red River based out of Texas with a lot of schools in the state of Texas, it made sense for us to kind of venture to that side, but also, given the opportunity for multiple of our sports to compete in championships. And I think that had more so to do with the move more than anything. Our tennis team, which is nationally ranked, they were competing unattached to a conference. Well, they just got into Southern States this past year, so hopefully they'll be able to come with the Red River also. And then with us starting baseball and softball, it's important for us to kind of be able to have all our programs compete for a national championship. In our first for a conference championship and then also from a national championship. So I think I'm feeling, the university made that move because of those 2 reasons. But to answer the initial question, no, I didn't have much say so in, which league we go in.
Yeah, that's fair. And like we said, each institution is different in regards to what that looks like. And I appreciate you being upfront and sharing with that. And it gives me a perspective of the second question, which I'll ask more as just a philosophical question since you provided me with the candor in regards to how that decision was made. And I thought you really did a great framework of setting up that question in regards to the rationale of what was shared with you, and makes a lot of sense. With that shared from the perspective of a player, and then a assistant coach, and now a coach participating in the NAIA, but also I know you all play a lot of games with NCAA Division II. What do you see is the difference between the two leagues, associations, and obviously the two divisions, if you would, if there is a difference, and how would that come in terms of decision of staying in the NAIA, or even looking at what that would look like in terms of NCAA Division II, such as the SIAC or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, the NC2As, you know, Division II also, you know, it's been very attractive to us. You know, I know over the course of the years, you know, we've had multiple conversations. You know, I'm not sure which direction, you know, like I said, because, you know, my job is to coach, but you know, I think the difference between the two, well, first of all, both of them have great coaches. There are great coaches in both, and a lot of times with the NC2A Division II, you're getting kids. It really comes down to the kids that you get, the players that you get. You know, a lot of Division I guys who leave Division I and transfer down, they'll go to a Division II before they'll go to an NAIA school. It's just, even though the NAIA can be the number one winningest team in the state, they could have just won a couple conference tournament championships, the whole nine. It's just something about the difference between NC2A Division II and NAIA just, you know, just rings differently. And I think a lot of that comes down to just the ignorance of knowing the difference between the two and what NAIA stands for. And, you know, but a lot of times it comes down to a lot of kids want the opportunity to go play professional ball after they finish college. And it tends to be, the wave tends to be a little easier Division II, NCAA Division II versus the NAIA. You know, you have different roadblocks and challenges, but like, again, it comes back to them knowing about the NAIA. So definitely both have great coaches. I think the difference comes down to players. But, you know, with us, you know, we felt like, since I've been a player, we've always played Division IIs. You know, from the Morehouses to the Clarks to the Miles to the, you know, Lamar Owens. We've always played those guys. And so that's been, you know, that's all I've known. Just, you know, every now and then we'll play one or two of those teams, and, you know, we competed, you know, and so they may have a few more scholarships, or, you know, we'll get more high level transfers than we do. But for the most part, I think that, you know, like I said, it's great to be able to have those avenues to compete and kind of set the benchmark of where you are as a program, you know, and how much more you need to go to gain. So that kind of definitely gives you a perspective on, you know, where you are as a team and everything. And I appreciate those challenges for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, looking over at the Red River from this past year, and obviously, you know, who's to say what they'll look like in I guess you could say 2 seasons from now. Mm-hmm. But this past season, their 10-member basketball programs, it looked like LSU, Shreveport, LSU, Alexandria were the top dogs over there. Both of them nationally ranked. Shreveport, number 3, I believe, in the country. Alexandria, 13. Shreveport won the conference tournament, finished the season on a 14-game win streak. How familiar are you with those 2 programs, and maybe let people know, you know, Alexandria, Shreveport, obviously Houston, Tilliston's over there. What can people expect from the competition, night in, night out, from that conference, and maybe those teams in particular?
I'll say this, man. I know some people may agree with it and may not, but Louisiana has some great basketball. Got some great basketball here in Louisiana, man. Like you said, LSU, Shreveport, number 3 in the country. Alexandria was top 10 most of the year, kind of dropped to the 13th, and then we finished top 10 in the country. So it's going to be very exciting every game. Even the teams who aren't as highly ranked, Texarkana, they had a great season also. They I think when they stole 1 or 2 games from Alexandria or Shreveport, one of those teams. I know they did a good job pushing them in a conference tournament. I think they ended up getting to the championship game, if I'm not mistaken. So the games and the atmospheres going on the roads of those places are intense. We like this past year we went to Texas College. We went to Jarvis Christian a couple of years ago. We went to Houston Tilliston, and those atmospheres are intense, and the good thing about those for us too, we also have a huge alumni followings in Texas, so we had some good support come out to those games. So it's going to be, it's going to be a dogfight in the conference, going over there. We definitely looking forward to it. It's looking forward to the challenge, and we hopefully next year, man, we're able to get this thing rocking and rolling. So, but it's going to be some good games, some good battles. If you remember, LSU Shreveport was in the GCAC at one point in time, and so going back to those rivalry games, where they were just some knockout games, man, I think that's going to definitely bring back some memories for me. And then Alexandria has been, since I've been back since 2016, we've been playing at Alexandria. And those have been some heavyweight fights also.
All right. We're going to go around the horn one more time before we get you out of here, Coach. And I got a couple of, I'm going to do a couple of rapid fire questions to get you in. Number one, you've got the HBCUs in the Red River. Mm-hmm. Of those, which one of those are you looking most forward to playing?
Looking forward to playing? Oof. We haven't played Wiley in a while, so I guess I'll say Wiley. My good friend over there just got the head coaching job, Derek Mitchell, so it'd be fun to go against my buddy and going back to Wiley again.
All right. Number 2, of all the schools that you're going to miss in the GCAC playing, which school are you going to miss playing the most out of the GCAC?
Ooh, man, it's a couple, man. Definitely Tougaloo. Tougaloo is going to be one of those games because we always have epic battles with Tougaloo. Philander was always an interesting place to go play on the road. Talladega also. Talladega was a very, very tough place to play, for years. And of course Dillard, man. Dillard, that rivalry with Dillard, man, is going to be. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue to have the rivalry. Whether it's may not be depending on whatever happens moving forward here, man. But hopefully, we'll still be able to have that rivalry. But of course, those ones I will miss the most for sure.
Well, you just answered question number 3 I had for you. Every person in New Orleans, or New Orleans as y'all call it down there, wants to know about the rivalry with Dillard. Yeah. Will it continue, and how different will it be if it's not a conference game?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will continue. I really hope it does, because it brings out. Even though we're rivalries, we're rival schools, we still have utmost respect for those our folks over at Dillard, and we definitely hope that it still continues. Those games are just so important to the city, man, just for bragging rights. So I hope that we're able to find a way to make it happen. And I think the intensity and the intensity of the game will still be there. I just have to make sure when we schedule it that it's during the right time, because the timing of it is going to be everything.
All right, Doc.
Yes, we talk a lot about on this show and inside the HBCU Sports Lab about the HBCU sports culture. So I wanted to explore that quickly in the framework of what AD and Bryan talked about in regards to these matchups when you are talking about previously in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference in this final season, going to Dillard across town, obviously Talladega, Tougaloo, some of those matchups previously, Everett Waters. Now coming in, you're looking at Wiley College, Texas College, Jarvis Christian College, going over there in Austin in terms of Houston-Tillerson University, Dallas with Paul Quinn, in Houston, a non-HBCU, or what I refer to as historically white college. Now you get to come to Houston. So it makes sense in terms of the natural fit with a lot of fans in those Texas cities. But can you set up in a little in some ways, if you would, the natural HBCU sports culture? And is there any difference since you played both schools over the period of time, outside of in one case is a conference and the other one with non-conference games? Obviously, that'll switch if you play any of those teams moving forward outside of the divisional alignment.
Well, the experience of the HBCU is there's nothing that compares to it. You know, it's I would say the only thing that I've seen in my eyes that kind of compares to it is like a Power 5 type school. Where you have the electricity of the crowd, you know, the band, the DJ, and just the energy of the home fans and the student body, man. It's an unreal feeling to, you know, also be able to, you know, have clean fun. You know, they're going to heckle you. They're going to get on you. They're going to call your name. They're going to talk about your shoes. Like, it's just one of them, right? It's something about it, man. And then once the DJ get rocking, the dancers get to going, and then Greeks like
playing during the timeout, and you can't hear.
Yeah, man. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it, man. And it's an unbelievable experience. You know, definitely when we have our recruits come in town and stuff, and they're able to see that experience just from. You see it on the live feed, and you hear about it from family members. But once you actually get there and see it and feel it, it's like, man, coach, this is where I want to be at. You know, we got a lot of recruits like that. Like, this is where I want to be at, coach. This is it. So it's going to be a little different, you know, going from an all HBCU conference, kind of a mixed conference. But I definitely think the level of competition, level of play is still definitely be there. There's no denying that, you know. And so, but you know, like you say, you still have 5 other HBCUs in that conference, so it'll definitely be fun. You know, the games that we did go out there and play in Texas, man, at the Texas College, man, that game was intense. Houston-Tillerson was intense. So now that we're moving over to that side of the conference, man, I definitely think it's either going to get better. It's going to get even better. So. I definitely can't wait, man. Excited about the opportunity, and excited to get ready to compete.
Yep.
Thank you,
Coach. So the your men's program, just a couple of weeks ago, it was announced. You know, Xavier was recognized as the national HBCU leader in victories over the past decade, which I think, you know, caps off an amazing year because you had the GCAC championship. Then you were the BCSN Fantasy Men's Basketball Champions. Got to make sure that gets, you know, known and recognized. And then over the decade, which you were a part of, I mean, you were as an assistant coach for the first half of it, head coach for the second half of it, most wins among all levels, you know, NAIA, D2, D1. What kind of pride does that, you know, is that, you know, what kind of pride comes through when you hear that? I mean, 20, I think you mentioned probably the only year, you mentioned your first year, you know, where you didn't have a 20-win season, but it seems like every other year was practically, I think you had 8 of them in that decade, 20-win seasons, a couple of championships, regular season. Talk a little bit about that pride over the work that's been done over the decade.
Yeah, you just put me on to something, because I heard the stats, but I didn't really dive into them as much as you did. But yes, I was an assistant from 09 to 15. And so you talk about 2010, we went, I think we won 18 games. We didn't win 20 games that year, but every year after that, 10 to 15, we won 20 plus games. And, you know, we had 3 regular season championships along that way, a couple of All-Americans. And then just coming back on the second half, be able to come and put my name, you know, in the history books, man, with this, you know, it's surreal. I'll tell you that, you know, this campus, the students, this alumni, they all have tremendous pride in their school, you know, and they, you know, the guys who played here, man, they, even though, yeah, we didn't play at the big schools, the LSUs and stuff, but when we go play basketball, you know, we're definitely well respected on the basketball floor because our guys, we do an unbelievable job of just preparing our guys on the court with the skill development things that we do. So it was surreal when those stats came out to know that we were the leader of all HBCUs and wins, and for me to be a part of that, and as an assistant coach, all the players and the coaches that came before and after, man, it's a legacy thing. You know, and we try to continuously push our legacy of this program and also the university.
Yeah, well, congratulations to you. You know, for the assistant coaches, excuse me, all of the players who have been a part of it over the past decade. It is definitely something to brag about. Hopefully, you know, I know A.D. Horn, I know he will definitely recognize you guys somehow, but it is definitely worth bringing guys back in or doing something to make sure that gets well recognized, because that's a heck of an accomplishment. 221 wins, 104 losses, a win percentage of 68%. Those are the numbers total. So awesome.
I get mad at myself because if we didn't have that 10 and 20 season, it would have been a little better. It would have been a little better. So I get mad at myself sometimes about that, but you know, it happens.
Gotta take the good with the bad, Coach.
Absolutely. That's it. That's it. If we didn't have that bad, we wouldn't have won. So I definitely take it.
There you go. Coach A.J. Williams of Xavier University. Coach, quickly tell them how people get in touch with you, your Twitter handle, plugs for the university, all that good stuff.
You can reach me on Twitter is Coach _AJ. You can reach me on the webpage XULAGold.com. Go to the athletics, our athletics page, and then click on men's basketball. You can find me on there also. So pretty responsive on Twitter. Follow a lot of different things, and just trying to continuously do our part. You know, do my part as a young basketball coach, be able to pay it forward and help those that are coming after me. So definitely, if anyone has any information or questions or concerns or about coaching, getting into coaching, or how they need to do it, definitely they can feel free to hit me up for sure.
All right, Dr. Cavil, I'm not Bryan, so I'm not gonna do all the talking. I'm gonna let you do your own talking, Doc. Tell everybody about your Tuesday night show and how they can get in touch with you.
I appreciate it. With Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sportslab radio show. You can catch us every Tuesday live on Facebook Live. You can also catch us in this area on the radio, 12:30 a.m. K2H. If you're not able to catch it live, we do record it. You can check it out on BCSN, YouTube, as well as Inside the HBCU Sportslab YouTube. You can catch out the recorded. And if you just want to listen, you're driving, like Coach is going around getting some recruiting in, he just wants to get some news about the HBCU landscape, you can catch it on Spreaker. In terms of the various podcasts that are out there, you can listen as you drive, and you don't even have to look. You can keep going and keep moving and support us in that way. We'll make sure that we keep you updated with all the HBCU news and updates. Look forward for a big show coming this Tuesday, where we're going to bring A.D. in part of the show near the end, along with Rob Calloway, as we will dissect everything that's going into HBCU sports from that perspective and look forward. We're going to find a way to get Coach Williams on our set as well, specifically as he gets going. We'll give him a little time to celebrate a little more, and then we'll take a deep dive and get him on the show as well. We can't let BCSN SportsWrap have all the fun with some of these great coaches that he's interviewing as well.
And I'm going to let my partner in crime, the normal captain of the ship, Bryan Fulford, go ahead and do our normal plugs because he does it so well.
Oh, man, A.D., you got me. My voice is froggy. All right, so, yeah, make sure to follow the Black College Sports Network at MyBCSN1, the number one, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Search for us there. We're also the BCSN SportsWrap on Facebook. More importantly, you can get our show and Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab by simply checking out the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Go to your Google and Apple Play Store, search MyJBN or MyBCSN, download the app, be a part of the Jericho Broadcast Network's family, and that's where anytime Doc has a show that goes live or our show goes live, you'll be able to get a notification about it. So there's no reason for anybody to miss our show and our content anytime we have such great guests like Coach Williams or anybody else on. So appreciate the time, Coach, as always, man. And good luck to you. All the best. You guys be safe with everything with Sally going on in that area, Hurricane Sally. You know, you guys be safe out there. And we'll be in touch soon, for sure.
All right. And I since everybody's taking care of all the business, my Twitter handle at BCSN Drew. I'm the simple man. I'm just glad these other two let me come along for the ride. And Coach Williams over there let me audit the class. So, one last thing, Coach. Shout out to Ed Cassidy for helping us set these interviews up for us. SID at Xavier University. Yeah. So for
one of the best in the business.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So for our guest, AJ Williams, defending men's basketball champion of Xavier University, GCAC basketball champion, my regular co-host, Bryan Fulford, our special guest, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. This is A.D. Drew for the BCSN SportsWrap, signing off. Thank you. God bless you. We'll holler at you.
See you guys later. Thanks.
But my beats, they are